Hey, welcome back to the 167. I am here with Loren Sherwood. How's it going?
Hello. It's going all right.
All right, so tonight you're going to tell us a little bit more about your story. You came in and did your 7-minute story, your first one. How long ago was that? Probably like a year?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to tell us a little bit more about your story, how God worked through your life. So what do you want to talk about tonight?
Basically my journey from high school and beyond, because I spent most of from 6th grade until high school, my senior year in juvenile detention, and I got my act together for about 3 years, and then after that, things just started going south, and made a lot of bad decisions. I thought a lot of things were predetermined for me, but now looking back, everybody has a choice to make.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about that, because we do actually have younger listeners. I was talking to a family, and they were like, oh yeah, we were on a road trip, and my boy, like, he found the 167 and just basically binged the whole thing. So, I mean, you're saying that was like 6th grade, you're saying?
Yeah, I got locked up when I was in the 6th grade and didn't get out until I was 18.
What do you feel like led to some of those things that you could, talk to some of our younger viewers about?
Peer pressure is a big one. A lot of times people think that you don't have a choice, but you really do. A lot of people say, well, the neighborhood that I lived in, I didn't have a father in the home. Those are all they're unfortunate circumstances. But as an adult, you have more of an ability to filter everything out and make your own choices. I wish I would have been able to do that at a younger age.
Mm. And I'm sure it wasn't just like one day you did one thing and then you ended up there.
No, it was progressive. I was pretty much bad kid since I was in preschool. I got in trouble all the time. I remember the first time I got in big trouble, a kid was going to sit in my chair, so I pulled it out from under him, and that was in preschool, and it was just pretty much downhill since there until I was old enough to get in real trouble.
Yeah. So you go into juvie, you graduate when you're 18, and you kind of get things together for a couple of years?
For a couple of years, yeah. I was living with my mom and didn't really have a whole lot of decisions to make for myself, but I lived with my mom for a year, and then I moved out and kind of fell back into the ways of the world. They say that listening to music with like bad lyrics and everything doesn't really affect you, but subconsciously it does. It pre-programs your mind to make different decisions than you otherwise would if you'd have your head in the Bible like you should.
Yeah, it's hard to, commit a felony when you're like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah.
It's more, you want to get in that same mindset. I've talked to people about that where it's like, I don't know if it's causation or just that, I'm mad, so I want to listen to music that's also angry, and it just becomes a cycle. Or
Yeah, it
I'm
works
okay,
for-
and I listen to music, and then it puts me in that.
It works for a little bit until it doesn't, until it starts changing you.
Mm-hmm. So you're out, you do that for about 3 years, and then you fall right back in.
Fell right back in. It got a little darker as an adult because I had access to more things and more influences. And, I was a gang member since I was 12 years old. And it's different as a juvenile than it is as an adult, like night and day difference. It'll either consume you or you'll try to play both sides of the fence like I did, and it doesn't work out.
What do you mean by that, play both sides of the fence?
Well, you can fool anybody, but you can't fool God. So I was doing gang member stuff, doing bad things, and my family didn't really know about it. Because with them, I'm not saying bad words or anything and then go out with my friends, and it's completely different. I was like two people. And you can fool everybody but God.
So what was the change for you then?
Change for me, so I was looking at 48 to 96 years. I didn't ever think that I was getting out. I ended up doing 8.5 years. I took a deal for 10 and did 8.5 on it. And for the first 4 years I was in there, I was still doing the same bad stuff. You know, you're surrounded by criminals. There's no good really in prison. You have to make it yourself because everything around you is just really bad. So I lost contact with my family, and that's pretty much what did it. And that's the same thing that got my act together when I was in juvie. They shipped me out of state. So when you get taken away from everything that you care about, you got to find something. And all I had was God. And when I found God, everything else started falling into place perfectly.
So did you find that, was there like a prison ministry that reached out to you, or did you just kind of do that on your own?
There was a friend of mine that was introduced from my aunt. He went to her church, and he came and showed that even a perfect stranger that has nothing in common with you can care. And him and I worked together. I was his man on the inside, and we got a lot of Bibles to people who otherwise wouldn't have Bibles or wouldn't even picked up a Bible. You know, there was people that I reached that were full-blown Satan worshipers that thought that that was the cool thing to do, and, you know, lead by example and people follow.
I think that's a powerful thing too, because I think about the verse in the Bible where Jesus talks about, you know, I was sick and you cared for me. I was hungry and you gave me food, and I was in prison and you came to visit me. And it's like that, like, you know, if not for this guy, like physically coming to visit you, you know. So I think that's a testimony to all of us. Like, what can be done if we just random, you know, feel like, oh, I have sort of a relationship with this person that's on the inside. What if I just go visit him?
It would make a big difference, because a lot of the reason why people are in and out is because they don't have that family support and they don't have that hope. And when you have a taste for the criminal life and you go in and you get out, and that's pretty much it's really, really hard to explain, but it's ingrained into you. It makes everything else twice as hard. You know, somebody who's walked the straight and narrow most of their life, the average Joe, never had a parking ticket. You know, it'd be easier for him to be a Christian than it would be somebody who's an ex-gang member, who's shot at people, who's been shot, who went to prison for robbing people. You know, I had to change a lot of things, and it's really, really hard, and it's still a daily struggle having to fight those demons inside my head, because a lot of times, you know, they come back.
And how do you do that, like on a daily basis?
Constant dialogue with God. It's not necessarily prayer, but it's more like a conversation, like a subconscious type thing. You know, I don't always get answers, and I can't sit here and say that God has spoken to me directly from heaven with his voice, but there's subtle hints, things that he changes in life. You know, there's times where I pray real hard about something, and it happens.
That's good. Like, it really does, I think, make a difference for people in a daily walk where you're hearing from God, you feel like you can speak with him, you have that relationship. It's life-changing.
It is.
All right, well, thanks for coming in and sharing that with us tonight. We'll see you guys here next time on 7 Minute Stories.
Awesome.